Scene number 3, practicing positive, negative, and questions. The smartboard is on, showing different sentence structures. Evan explains the concepts, but Bob and Sasha are staring at the screen, clearly trying to make sense of it all. Their faces show a mix of confusion and hesitation. The concepts of, am I studying, and aren't I studying, only add to their uncertainty. Both of them want to understand, but right now, it feels a little overwhelming.
I know this can be tricky at first. Don't worry if it feels confusing, that's normal. We're going to practice together, and it'll start to make sense soon. Let's try some examples on the board. You don't have to be perfect. This is all about getting comfortable with the patterns. Bob, could you try making a positive sentence using this form?
Sure. I study English.
Perfect. Now, let's change that to the present continuous, which talks about something happening right now. You'd say,
I am studying English.
exactly. Good work. Now, Sasha, can you give it a try?
I study design.
Great. Now, let's make it continuous.
I'm studying design.
Yes, that's right. Okay, now let's move on to negative sentences. This is when you're talking about something you aren't doing, like, I don't study, or I'm not studying. Bob, can you change your sentence to negative?
I don't study English.
Perfect. And for continuous, it would be?
I'm not studying English.
Exactly. Nice job. Sasha, your turn.
I don't study design, and I'm not studying design.
Great. Both of you are doing well. Now, let's try questions. This is where we flip the word order. Instead of saying, I study, we say, do I study? And for continuous, am I studying? Bob, can you turn your sentence into a question?
Okay. Do I study English?
Yes. And now, continuous?
Am I studying English?
Perfect. Sasha, want to try?
Do I study design, and am I studying design?
Exactly right. Now, let's finish with negative questions. You just add a negative like don't or aren't. For example, don't I study? Aren't I studying? Bob, could you try making a negative question for us?
Yes, sure. Don't I study English?
Perfect. And continuous?
Let me think. Is that, aren't I studying English? Wait, Evan, why aren't I? Shouldn't it be, am not I? Since we're using I am.
Good question, Bob. So, you're right. Am not would seem to be the logical contraction here, but in English, we don't typically say am not when asking a question. Instead, we use aren't in negative questions with I, so it's aren't I?
Huh. Aren't with I. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those quirky things in English. But here's something even more informal. Sometimes you might hear people say, ain't I? In casual conversation.
Ain't? What's that?
Oh, ain't is a very informal way of saying am not, are not, or even is not. It's used a lot in casual or regional English, but it's not considered proper grammar in formal situations. So, while you might hear ain't I in everyday conversation, it's best to stick with aren't I when you're learning English.
Got it. So aren't I is the proper way, but ain't is something I might hear in informal speech.
Exactly. Just be aware of when to use them. Aren't I is what you'll want to practice. Crystal clear?
Yes, thanks for the explanation.
Welcome. Now, Sasha, could you give it a try?
Sure. Don't I study design? And aren't I studying design? Is that correct?
Exactly, Sasha. Both of your sentences are correct. Don't I study design? Is a general negative question, and aren't I studying design? Asks about something happening right now in the negative. You've got it.